Hello and good afternoon, agents. Thank you for coming to us part two.
Part two, 2
Well,
o'clock.
technically it's like squared because this is the second time we're going live and doing this training. Our first time to be doing that, but if you're joining us for the first time, I am Adrienne.
I'm Brent.
And thank you so much for being here. We want to teach you about final expense.
Yeah.
How to sell it, why to sell it, all the things final expense.
Everything you need and more.
Yes. So I think we're going to start with a song. I think I have a song going. Yeah, I like that.
To stay still. 10 and 2. 10 and 2.
Yes.
I don't know why I keep referencing everything to 10 and 2.
It's like the afternoon pickup.
Yeah.
Afternoon pickup. Come on, y'all.
Jumping jacks.
Yeah. Alrighty. Now that we got you excited, little.
Blood flowing.
Yeah, there we go. Blood flowing. Here's our overview for today's training. We're going to define the different types of life insurance, explain why to sell it, how to sell it, the selling process, possible outcomes, rebuttals, and of course to cover any questions that you have. Types of life insurance.
Is that me?
Yeah, well, we'll just dive into the types. The first type, I'll let you take this one.
Okay, so whole life and final expense. Policies are referred to as permanent protection since as long as the premium is paid, coverage will continue for the life of the insurer. Premium for the whole life policy is based on the issue age, and it remains the same throughout the life policy. The death benefit is guaranteed and also remains leveled for life. So simply what that means is if they sign up early, that premium is going to stay the same for that policy, for the life of that policy, as long as they pay it. Whole life policies are usually for individuals who wish to look into level premium amounts. As you can tell, I'm not a reader, right? But out loud, I gotta say, don't popcorn me in class. The amount will not increase over the lifetime. This product is good for individuals in the States planning because it gains cash value. So again, whole life gains cash value. That's the selling point on it. And again, start early, stay low.
Absolutely. I love that. Start early, stay low.
Yep.
Gains cash value. The next type of final expense is term life. So this is policies are referred to as temporary protection because it only provides coverage for the term of years that is specified in the contract. If the insured dies during the term, the policy pays the death benefit to the beneficiary. However, if the policy is canceled or expires prior to the insured's death, nothing is payable. So unless the term is renewed or converted. In other words, there is no cash value and no living benefits with term.
Yep.
And if you were on part one, we talked about how term was kind of more beneficial for the younger crowd.
Yes.
Or it's more appealing to the younger crowd.
Yeah, and of course you have your basic reasons for that. Of course, being younger, pricing, mortgage, debts, things of that nature.
Absolutely. And keep in mind that all these types that we're talking about, we do have carriers and products for them.
Universal life, flexible premium, adjustable life. The universal policy has two components as an insured component and a cash account of the universal life policy is always annual renewable term insurance. Tells you popcorn. The cash amount accumulates on the tax deferred base each year. There are a lot of options with universal life that our other policies do not have. So again, you know, the major point in that is that it has options that other life policies do not have. So I think that's very important when you talk about, you know, what options they do have and how to build cash value and how to get a larger policy amount and how that universal life. Usually, I'll tell you this, usually people that talk about universal life, they're fairly educated in what this policy does and what this type of life insurance will do for them. So it's very important to really educate yourself on that and come to that client with something new and innovative.
Yes, absolutely. I like how you put that.
Yeah.
And then the next type, annuities. I know that might not seem like life, but it is a contract that provides income for a specific number of years or for life. An annuity protects a person against outliving his or her money. Annuities is not life insurance, but it is in a way to accumulate money and the liquidation of an estate. Many times this product is placed in association with life insurance.
And that annuity, again, the reason why you can compare that to life coverage is simply because the reason, of being able to take care of things once you're gone. And that's very important when you talk about life, because that's a very big selling point on any one of these products, and the way you pitch things to people or to your clients, whatever it may be.
Yes, and we will be having future annuity trainings as well. I think a lot of our agents don't realize how much we're involved with life and annuities, hence why we have Brent here now to take over all of that and help our agents with all of those types of products.
I'll always be passionate about anything that I do, but I think, like Jeremy said in a piece from this morning, and maybe will be from this evening as well, it's just very important to be passionate and let them know that you're bringing them something that's going to be valued for them for duration of their life.
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna go over these reasons on why to sell final expense, because of course our end goal, if you're not already selling, is to get you motivated to be selling it.
Yep.
So for those of you who need that little extra motivation, you're serving the underserved and gaining a client for life.
Very important. Simple as that. Again, on that piece of following up with the client and just reviewing their policies all the time and just letting them know that they do have the best thing for them will ensure that those are, still and locked tight for your customer base.
Yes. And I really like this first bullet. So this first reason why is educating on a product they are guaranteed to use. That's really good wording if you're looking for some wording on a marketing piece.
Absolutely.
You don't want to send a mailer that says, hey, you're going to die.
No, they already know that.
No. So this is a product that you are guaranteed to use.
Absolutely. And that in itself will sell policies that are fit to the client.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of course you're going to earn extra income. A lot of agents, that's all they do is life.
There's some big life producers out there, and there's a reason why they sell it.
Yeah, there is a reason. So why not, do that extra little bit to make some more money? Of course, you get quick approval, fast pay, and, one of my favorite topics, retention.
Absolutely.
Increases, because the more products you have in that home, the higher your retention rate is to keep them, on the books with you.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier on the 10 a.m. Webinar, it's just very important to create a whole home solution when you're in that house, because again, we all know what the market looks like, and we know how things go, and sometimes that may leave the door open for other opportunities from someone else, not necessarily yourself. So it's very important to get rounded in all forms of life.
Yes, I had a conversation one time with an agent, and I was like, don't you see like all those State Farm billboards, like home,
There is a lot of
home auto life? They say it. Even PNC agents, they know how important life is. Life insurance is.
Life is important as well.
Yes. And so now we're going to hear a little bit from our vice president, Jeremy, on his kind of like scenario on offering final expense.
Very good piece.
And I've used many times as we've kind of talked through this as a group internally, is if you call and you make a doctor's appointment and you say, I need to see the doctor next week or tomorrow because I have an ear infection. You go in, the nurse grabs you, you wait 45 minutes if you're lucky, and you get in the room, and as you're headed to the room, they're weighing you. They bring you in a room, they take your temperature, the doctor comes in, and when he sits down on his little chair, he doesn't say, hey, I hear you have an ear infection, let me write you a prescription for that and send you on your way. Generally, my doctor would sit down and he would start to ask a bunch of questions. In its simplest form, I really believe that he's fact-finding. He's saying, hey, Jeremy, I hear that you have an ear infection. Could you tell me a little bit about that? When did that start? Where have you been? What issues have you had? And then he begins to go through a process of things that I feel are unrelated to my ear infection. He listens, he takes my blood pressure, he listens to me breathe, and then he kind of gets around to to looking into my ear. And I know you might ask yourself, well, how does a final expense appointment or an insurance review relate back to a doctor's visit? And I think it does very much, simply because that doctor is not taking your word for, he's not taking your word that what's wrong with you is what you've already diagnosed yourself with because you read on WebMD. He's doing his job as a professional to make sure that no stone is unturned. And really, just kind of in a brief few minutes today, I want every one of us to have a different perspective and to look at this and say, okay, let's really take a look at number one, why final expense is good for the customer. Because as agents, we've got to believe in what we're selling. And if you ever talk to me about what I do, I get excited, a little bit probably too excited because insurance isn't super sexy, but I'm excited because I truly believe in what we're doing as individual agents, as an organization, and as an industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so
we got to
believing
get
in what you're
excited
doing.
about it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're helping that person. Although they may or may not believe that you are, giving them all the help in the world, and you may be asking them for money and all these different things, which we'll get into in a little bit later, but you're really there to create some type of solution for their problem, which I believe we all kind of have that problem that we might, there's no might to, we're gonna,
Yeah.
have to use it one day. So
Yes. Yep. That it's a true fact. And that was a great lead into, because we are going to talk about some fact finding forms and things like that that will help you even further, like sell a final expense policy. But that was a great example about the doctor.
absolutely, because
Even though I have tried that, to just walk in and say, I have an ear infection, give me a prescription, but no.
no.
Yeah. And so as an insurance agent, you would be like, no, I have to ask you a few questions first.
You have to do some type of discovering to figure out what the solution looks like, or how do you even get to a solution, right? So there's multiple pieces to selling something if you're whatever you may be selling. But at this point in time, the life side of the business is just really focusing on that solution for that client.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to sell final expense. And all
It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's super easy. We are just going to give you some tips and some things to try to help you produce more, or make that leap to actually be offering the product. And this is just kind of an outline. If you need like a to-do list, like if you're just now getting into final expense, this is a great like little list for you to get started. So you got to determine your why, and everyone's why is different. But figure out why you want to sell it, whether it's to make more money, help people, do the right thing,
and
whatever it is.
Put those in the right order, it's always going to result in more funds, right?
Absolutely. Then you'll get your life license, do AML training, get your E&O, which we can help you with all of these things. Choose your carriers. Brent will start you off with like 2 to 3. Just to start with, just to get yourself familiar in that product.
Absolutely.
So if you're not already, or if you're curious about Brent's carrier recommendations, talk to him.
And again, just like you guys go out and sell life, I try my best to hone in on what you need, what looks good in your area. Even though I know most of you guys are, licensed in multiple different states. It takes a conversation just as well as it takes discovering when you sell life coverage to get prepared to sell life coverage. So we can have that discussion.
Yes. And then lastly, come up with your process or procedure. I mean, obviously things work better when there's a structure. So just determine like, how you're going to get in front of people. If that's you're working your existing Medicare book, your buying prospecting list, which we have all of these things. So we're not just telling you to do these things. We want you to do these things with us.
Yeah, one-stop shop.
Yes, you can host events, you can do mailers, and you can cold call. Just figure out whatever process you want to do. And I do see a question from Sandra. She's asking, what is the difference between whole life and final expense? Isn't a final expense a whole life policy? Why the different name? That is a great question, Sandra, because it is. So if I go back a few, you'll see like that's funny. We did whole life / final expense. So yes, they are the same thing, but we call it final expense just because it's kind of a broader umbrella than just the whole life.
Yes, and I mean, when you look at it, whole life is going to be something that's way more appealing to people than saying final expense. But in reality, when you really speak to someone in their home, you're looking at their final expenses. And whole life may, like we said earlier, whole life, you want to start that out early, so that way you lock them into a good rate, and you're not looking at a final expense only policy where, as if they're older, it's going to cost them more, they're going to get a lot less. But if you lock them in early and you get them that coverage, let's say when they're 30, I'm 30. If you came to me and said, hey, I want to offer you a whole life policy, you know, it does incorporate the final expenses you may encounter or your family may encounter once you're gone. That, you know, that's just going to be a whole lot more appealing than saying, hey, I got a final expense policy for you. So there are the same, but a little bit different.
Yes, absolutely. But that was a great question, Sandra. Thank you. So next, we're going to go over the general selling procedure. Yep, nice visuals for you. I really am a visual learner, so I like it. Like I would print this off and put it on my wall just to make sure like I'm doing all the steps. Like, okay, this person's calling me. I need to set an appointment. I need to figure out if they're a new client, or if they're an existing client.
And you know, everyone, like we said again, everyone has their different ways of learning. So of course, you can tie everything back into what we're talking about today, just having that process of figuring out what works best for you and your client and your business.
Yes, yes. And so first, you're going to set that appointment, you're going to perform the needs assessment, and then you're either going to write a new policy or review an existing policy. Here's kind of a little bit more steps. Like if you're in the home selling, you can do a walkthrough in-home PowerPoint presentation. You can play videos. There's all kinds of videos out there.
There's a ton of them out there.
And you can make your own video. If you want to make your own video explaining like why someone needs life insurance.
And it makes it a little bit more personable too.
Absolutely. You can use the needs assessment at lifehappens.org. Write it down, screenshot it, lifehappens.org. Provide 3 options, a good quote, a better quote, and the best quote. Explain the benefits of each plan quoted, and then of course the close.
And it's very important when you talk about the process in home. It's very important to always tie something back into, you know, why you're even there, what they need this for. And of course, like I said, again, I always kind of jump ahead of myself, but we're going to get into that. But it's very important to make this simple, easy, and maybe put something in their hand. I think people, like you said, you know, they're tangible and they want to hold on to something, or you're visual, so you got to see it, you got to hold it, you got to know what's going on. So very important, simple, and easy, and personalized.
Yes. So I mentioned the in-home presentation, and we do have one for you if you do want a copy of it. I'm going to kind of go through the slides and kind of show you what it looks like. I'm happy to brand it to you, give you a copy of it, make changes as needed. But when you're doing the presentation, you know, here's just some tips to remind yourself, you know, for you to be sure to ask them questions, and then be sure to wait for their answers.
It's very important.
Yes, you don't have to rush through it, be genuine, and then just listen.
And always remind them why you're there. Again, you know, I think it's very important to personalize and remind them why you're there.
That's very good, yes. So these white slides are the ones that are client facing. It goes over why people need coverage, gives, you know, real life scenarios. It explains what are final expenses, because technically, I mean, final expenses mean like the last things you're going to be buying.
Yeah, you know.
Oh. And then the regulated policies have features necessary for secure final expense protection. So these are just, you know, facts to share with your client. Creating debt someone else has to pay. This is more realistic things that your client could face or have their family face.
Or have faced before, and they're just not mindful of it because they haven't thought about it. It's, I mean, you know, when it comes to something like this, you always want to push that out. You don't want to talk about it, you know, leave it covered, but it's very important to kind of always bring something back to where they can understand, or something back that they've been through or that they've gone through, because we've all gone through losing a loved one, or a tragic moment, or someone unexpectedly leaving us, and having those expenses, even though they may be small, big, large, whatever they are, you know, everyone's been down that road.
Yes. And if you haven't, I hope you never do. It's not anything fun,
No.
but it is something, you know, important to talk about. And you, the agent, you might be the only person who's making them face that. So be sure that, you know, you're letting your clients know and letting people know that you can help them with these things. And then the last slide on this client-facing PowerPoint is, you know, just some common questions to cover.
And those questions will vary, of course. I think it's very important in my mind, and what I've been able to talk to you guys about on a day-to-day basis, is always create a solution that you can that they can understand, that's set for them, but something that you can easily explain to them. Again, Todd always ties something back to just, I'm here for you, and I'm trying to simplify the process of something that you're absolutely going to need, because we do need it.
Yes. And so now you know why to sell it, you know how to sell it. Now we're going to get into like the quoting and calculating aspects of it. And we'll start with determine the funeral cost.
So determine funeral costs. So you can also use the form to determine what a funeral will cost based upon life expectancy. So this is a form, of course, we have available for all of our agents. If you're looking for that form, make a comment. We'll get it your way. But you know, this just gives you a roundabout of what a funeral may or may not cost. Of course, you may have people that say, you know, hey, you know, I'm just, you know, I want to be cremated, or this, that, and the other. Well, there's still cost to that, right? And so that's where you're going to find what solution works for them. Because no, I mean, I have no faults with someone that wants to be cremated, and you know, whatever their choices are. But this will help you determine what it looks like to kind of pay for a funeral for them. At least, again, putting some in front of them, putting their hand on it.
Absolutely. Give them a number to expect.
Yeah, because I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Things just fluctuate so much, and of course, we all live in this world, so we know how crazy they fluctuate.
Yes. And so now we're going to go over the needs assessment calculations. I definitely highly recommend the lifehappens.org. I mean, it's free. You don't have to create an account. Anyone has access to it. If you're curious how much life insurance you need, you can fill it out for yourself. Definitely. You definitely want the client to participate fully in the process, though. Make them fill it out. You know, don't answer the questions for your client, and then leave the paper copy because it helps their memory later. And then, of course, attach your contact information to it.
And again, you know, a lot of you guys are going to have different processes, but it's very important to bring something that maybe you can leave with them, that maybe it's just a folder you buy from Walmart or something, you know, little cheap folders, buy your kid for school or something.
Yeah.
And put all their information in there, put your card and stuff in there, and just leave them with something of yours.
Yes, absolutely. So this is kind of what it looks like when you get to lifehappens.org. You'll click on calculators, and then you'll select life insurance needs. And then there's 7 questions that they answer. The first one is, how much annual income would you like to provide if you were no longer here? So their wording is really, really great.
Very.
The next question is, how many years should income be provided after you're gone? Definitely a question I never thought of.
No, and it gives you a good example on the bottom of that. How much debt would you like to pay off immediately? Stick a number in there, give them a calculation.
Then how much would you like to provide for childcare? How much would you like to set aside for an emergency fund?
Good to have one of those.
And how much personal life insurance do you already have? And those are the 7 questions.
And you'll discover a lot based on those 7 questions.
Yes, and then it will give you your estimated life insurance needs. And so this was one that I just did pretty quick. And so this total need says $119,000. and you'll see there, like it says download PDF at the bottom. So you can download that, and that's what you would attach your contact info to and be like, call me so we can get a policy
Yeah.
if they don't already request it.
So you're reviewing, or you're, saying, hey, listen, I can make sure that this policy is exactly what you need based on what we've talked about. So that's always really, really nice, because of course, maybe they won't be able to afford it, or maybe they will be able to afford it. Whatever the case may be, you're going to give them options.
Yes. And so now you know how much they need. So now it's time to run a quote. And
Ooh, CSG. It's very useful. Very useful. I use it every day.
you're the only one who.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you?
No, I knew you were going to do that.
But she
So,
knows way more about it than I do, because if it messes up, I'm coming to her.
yeah, I know like the technical part, but he knows how to fill out all the fields correctly. Great team we have here at Elder Care.
Absolutely.
Always working together. It's pretty great. But we do offer this quote engine for free for our agents. You just log into eldercarebroker.com. You probably have already used it. You might not have used it for final expense, but you can. It's there for you to quote final expense.
And we do have a lady in the office that if you ever need help on how to change those little things, that she can help you out. It's Anna. And I've needed her many a times, and I've run many of quotes, and I still am like, oh, I can't get this right. And she tells me what I'm doing wrong. There we go.
Awesome. Yes. Maybe we'll do just like a full quote webinar.
Yeah.
Actually running live quotes.
It's really funny because I've made mistakes before. I mean, we're all human and we're going to make mistakes, but I've made mistakes before. So, and I use it all the time.
And so like a new quote engine that we offer agents is iPipeline. So if you write that term life with Elder Care, we'll give you free access to this quote engine, and it's called iPipeline.
And very good, because you can actually store the quotes on iPipeline. You can, just like CSG, you can save it to your phone, make it more accessible. Very, very useful thing.
Yes. Yep. So you got options.
And it gives you all the companies.
Okay, so now that you have calculated how much they need, you've ran the quotes for what carriers, now it's time to provide them options. A good option, a better option, and the best option. And again, this is just some sales tips for you. You're going to have your own process and how you do things, and you're going to figure out what works for you. But this is just some guidance for you.
Because it does take, if you're doing things a certain way, it takes kind of incorporating other things to help you out. And this is really good to look at this.
Yes. So the good option, the difference between how much final expense coverage the client currently has and how much coverage the Social Security chart shows the client should have at his or her current age is what you're going to show the difference between. So example, Ms. Jones has $15,000 of existing life insurance, and then the calculation was she needed $8,000 more of additional insurance. So that would be the good quote. You'll just run a quote for the $8,000. So then the better quote will be from the lifehappens.org as well, with the number of years being 4 for how much income they want to provide.
I got messed up on this one earlier.
Did I say that right? Number of years they want insurance. No, I'm not. Number of years income to be provided.
Yes. We'll get it. We'll get it. Takes all of us.
Yeah. And then the third would be the best option, where you're doing 7 years of income to be provided.
Yep.
So now it's time for the close. You've figured out all the information. You have their info. You've provided the 3 different quote options. And then, you're putting your finger on the better option and trying to, push them more to the better option to choose, because you want them to speak first. You want them to choose which one they want.
And that's why you give them options, because they're going to have questions. I mean, you could literally cover this today and then come back tomorrow and some other would have the same questions. So
yeah,
that's the beauty in it.
Yes. And I think I said this in the first training, but again, it's really important to be 100% honest with your client. you don't want to just give them one quote and be like, this is the only thing that you have available. This is all you can do is
Right.
this plan and this policy. No, you don't want to do that, because another agent might come back behind them and be like, well, you had these options.
Yeah, and I hate to compare things to other things that you sell,
Mhm.
but if you're talking about like going to a dealership, if you going in there for a freaking, fully loaded vehicle and you just can't do the monthly payment, then we got
Mhm.
another option for you. You don't like that? We got another option for you.
Yes.
So you're trying to create every option that you possibly can while you're there.
Yes, exactly. So now we're going to talk about 4 possible outcomes from going through this process. The first being they have inadequate coverage, plus they can't afford it, which would equal that you're writing the policy.
Good to go.
That's the best possible
Good to go.
outcome. Yeah. Another outcome could be that they have adequate coverage, and they meet the stipulations. So you're just going to do a policy review, and we'll
And
kind of go into detail what that is.
yep, very important.
Yep. And then they have inadequate coverage, plus they cannot afford, which would equal a team review. And then just completely unqualified would equal a team review.
Yeah, and those team reviews, I think we said earlier, could be based upon obviously if you have an agency, if you have people that you go to, or if you want to, communicate with us, we're more than willing to help you guys out and kind of go over what we can do to build that. Oh, there's team review right there.
Yes. No, but that's not on there. That's good. That's good to share, because I mean, what you're wanting to do is allow a third party to review it.
Yeah, because you may miss some things, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're all humans. We make mistakes. We'll miss stuff, and
Well, and there could be something out there that you're not aware of
yeah,
that could still help them.
every day we learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
I do, for sure.
Yes. And so the other outcome that we talked about was doing a policy review. And so the benefits of that obviously would be you would be trying to get them a lower monthly payment. You would want to ensure that the coverage outlives the policy owner. You're going to look for increased benefits, because there are life policies with different kind of benefits.
Absolutely.
And then of course that peace of mind. You want to be able to sleep at night knowing that your client's, covered with life insurance. You don't want that call that I've heard agents say it's the worst call that they get.
Yes.
That's like, hey, I saw your card. How much life insurance does my mom have? They didn't buy a policy.
Yeah.
I tried, but they didn't. You don't want that.
And those are the real world kind of situations that you can bring to the table when need be. It's a good rebuttal to say, hey, listen, I've been down this road, or I've had this incident happen. And I'm sure all of you guys out there have had something that you can bring
Yeah.
to the table like that. So don't be afraid to use those, because they work.
Exactly. If you need scenarios or stories, we got them for days.
Yeah.
Let us know. So some things to look for when you're doing a policy review. You want to find existing policies with just adequate coverage. Then you want to find existing policies with the face amount of $5,000. You want to find policy owners aged 50, policies at least 4 years old, premiums of $10,000, and then policies with cash surrender values of $1,000. So
all
again,
very good points.
yeah, so you can take this kind of as like, who do I market for life insurance? Well, here's some examples of who you can market. And the objectives.
So the owners understands exactly what they have, and agents learn why. Uncover opportunities for improvement in premium payments and or coverage. Review ownership and beneficiary structure. We touched on the beneficiary structure in the 10 a.m. webinar, which, again, everyone has something that changes in their life. So it's always, always, always important to check back with those clients. Because again, I mean, maybe nothing has changed, but maybe they're like, hey, I bought like 6 rental properties, so maybe you need to cover those somehow, or maybe you need to talk about an annuity, who knows? So there's something there.
Yes, and I actually have some notes on this one, which we didn't read in the first, so
Oh, we didn't.
y'all are first to hear these notes. When you're uncovering the opportunities for improvement in premium rates, that includes like interest rates, because they're at historical lows. Underwriting has changed with the medical advance, and life insurance policies may not perform to the standard originally illustrated. I bought my first life policy 13 years ago. I'm sure things have changed.
Yeah.
So
It changed
that's,
from 2 weeks ago.
those are questions that you can be asking and looking for when you're trying to uncover like different opportunities for you to write them a new policy.
Absolutely.
And then the review ownership and beneficiary structure. With longer life expectancy, policies may have become outdated, premiums may be paid up, and policies may be set to expire or terminate. These are all very true things that you need to make sure is not happening to your clients.
And that expired portion, probably looking more so towards like a term or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's kind of,
Which is good and bad.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yes, that could be just one of the questions. Do you know what type of plan you have?
How many years it is?
Yeah, make sure, check and see if it's term. Do you know if it's a term?
And listen, that again is another opportunity to uncover some things, right? Because, that guy was probably 30 and now you're talking to him when he's 45, or maybe he's 35, or maybe he's whatever, things change. So always
Yes.
resort back to that book.
Yes. And so here's kind of another, like when you're reviewing a policy, like 6 easy steps to do it in. 1, you collect a copy or snapshot of the most recent statement, if it's available. Most things are digital now. Complete.
Digital world.
Yeah, that's my world.
Yeah, I was really about to say that.
I knew you were. That's great. Complete the fact finder and existing coverage analysis forms. Help client fill out, sign, and fax in authorization form if it's necessary. And I'll let you take the next 3.
Conclude appointment and review, evaluate existing coverage. Set follow-up appointments with clients and discuss recommendations. Complete new applications, 1035 exchange paperwork, state replacement forms, etc. So again, I think that's a lot of what we talked about before, just reevaluating.
Yes. And here's kind of what those forms look like, the policy fact finder and the existing coverage analysis. So if you need something to follow while you're talking to people, we have that for you. Because sometimes when we're put on the spot, we kind of forget what to ask. So you can always go back and be like, did I ask them this?
Call those moments.
I like that. Okay, so now you know like why you should write it, how to write it, how to quote it, review steps. So last thing we're going to cover is why you should write life with elder care. Yeah.
All of this.
All the sound effects. I love that. Oh, okay. So we are super passionate about, getting into the final expense world. And that's not where we started, but we have been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
We are, making this big push, letting all of you know that we are in the life world, the final expense world.
Absolutely.
We have Brent, who is dedicated to just these products. So he is your go-to for all of that. And
I talk about it in my sleep sometimes.
Yeah. So that's one reason to write with Elder Care, is because we have amazing agent service. We have a whole team of people who are just there for you to answer the phone right when you need us.
Absolutely. And there's so many things that we can, go and kind of spin off on, but I think the biggest thing is just us wanting to make sure we're taking care of the people that are taking care of us. It's a partnership when you come with Elder Care. So again, we're looking to help as much as we possibly can and give you just as much as what you're putting into it, we're going to put into it as well. And even when you're not putting things into it, right, we're still going to be contacting you, sending you information saying, hey, we got this, hey, we've got this going on, and contact me to figure out what it is, and let's have a conversation to see if this fits you.
Yes, I love that. It is a true partnership.
Yeah.
Also, Elder Care will create you custom marketing pieces. And I say that as in me.
I was just about to say yourself.
Me, and we actually have Sarah now. So you have access to both graphic designers. It will create you anything that you might need to get in front of people, to get noticed. We love doing that. We'll offer you over the phone scripts. So if you are wanting to purchase one of those prospecting lists, we can target the right demographics for final expense.
Absolutely.
And we can give you a script to follow. Obviously, you can change it up as needed because you want it to sound genuine from you, but we can provide you all the things to create your own.
Yeah, it's just like we said earlier, just having some basis to work off of will go a long way. A little bit of structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the quoting tools.
Yep. ElderCare provides you the quoting tools that you need. We provide you the top commissions. We even provide you reward points as well as co-op opportunities.
And those are, listen, you go sell, you're going to make money for you selling. Then you're going to turn back around and get points for selling and making money. So it's a win-win. You have a whole store to go in and buy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are more than dedicated in rewarding you for doing business with us because you have options and we're grateful for you choosing ElderCare, and we want to reward you in multiple ways. So you definitely, every sale you get points in our shopping mall,
which is amazing. And you can convert them to different things.
And that qualifies for final expense and annuities. I mean, we do all the other products too, minus
now they're showing us some love, some final expense love.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. And then the co-op opportunities, it's a situation where the more you write, the more we're going to invest in you.
Sure.
So, and those are just a few of the reasons why you should be writing with us. So if you're interested in transferring some of that business and giving us the chance to show you how we can service you, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we thank you so much for joining us. If this is your second time for the day or your first time for the day, we appreciate you so much for taking the time out. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them and we are happy to get them answered. Again, thank you. I see there's still quite a few of you on here. So I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Rest of the day.
That's really cool to see some of the people that I've talked on the phone to. I mean, maybe I'm straying off, but it's really nice to see you guys, and just I appreciate you guys working with me. I appreciate you guys giving me the time, growing together. Again, opportunities are here. We're going to take full advantage of it, and we're going to continue to grow with you guys. So, reach out to me, ask me any questions you may. Again, I'll let you know off just the first thing. If I don't know the answer to it, I'm immediately going to say, I don't know. But again, I have all these people behind me, and we'll come up with a solution pretty quick. So that's really, really good. So thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you so much.